Hi everyone, welcome to Module 4, Part 1 of our Quote-to-Cash certification. This module is about the impact on your business of Quote-to-Cash. So we're going to talk a little bit about becoming a change agent and what are some of those average success metrics that organizations are achieving from Quote-to-Cash business transformation. And then we're going to profile a few companies that have undergone some Quote-to-Cash transformation and then end with some best practices. I'm going to just take you through the first section here, Part 1, on some of the average success metrics organizations have achieved from their Quote-to-Cash business transformation. So let's get started with Part 1 here. But before we do that, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Currently, I'm the Vice President of Product Marketing for Apttus. I've actually been in the industry, the CRM industry and the Quote-to-Cash industry for a good 30 years now. I was formerly an analyst for Gartner covering CRM. And then I also spent over a decade working for Salesforce as well in the CRM market, and now with Apttus. So I've seen a lot of examples and worked with a lot of companies, a lot of IT execs, a lot of CIOs about what they've been able to do with technology, from CRM to Quote-to-Cash to all kinds of different business strategies and technologies. So what I want to focus on here is the benefits of Quote-to-Cash transformation. So you saw earlier in the Quote-to-Cash certification, we talked a little bit about the benefits coming from contract management, the benefits coming from CPQ, configure price quote solutions. So overall, we're seeing across that whole Quote-to-Cash area, as businesses begin to focus in this area, one of the biggest benefits they're seeing is increased revenue. So if you take a more holistic approach, we're seeing some pretty incredible improvements in revenue. I've seen even higher than 25%. For example, the 7 to 25% is just an average. I've seen, for example, companies that had no visibility into their renewals see even greater increases in revenue from their renewal business by just having insight into renewals. We're obviously seeing a lot of improvements in win rates and larger deal sizes, particularly when you begin to apply artificial intelligence, which we've heard about in the certification, where you're looking at using technologies like machine learning to provide real-time intelligent recommendations. We're seeing dramatic improvements in accuracy, from quote quality and contract accuracy in the 45 to 51% improvements in those areas, again on average. And then, of course, the closed rates and the win rates that we talked about, and the larger deal sizes, particularly, again, with machine learning. Some other benefits that we've seen customers discuss and tell us about, and again, this data comes from talking to about 200 customers. We talk to them and survey them every year. So these are the average metrics that those companies are reporting from their Quote-to-Cash transformation efforts. We see much faster Quote-to-Cash cycle times. Typically about 38-40%, somewhere in there faster, like 42% faster contracting, 38% faster quoting, and then overall just across that whole Quote-to-Cash cycle time, about a 35% improvement overall in Quote-to-Cash cycle times. I talked already about one customer we had worked with who saw an increase in their renewal business. For contract renewals, we're seeing on average a 17% increase. Compliance is something we see a big benefit in, on average about a 43% increase in compliance. Faster approvals, this is a big area. Lots of times it takes many approvals. I was working with a company where it took 18 different approvals to get a contract approved. They saw dramatic decreases or faster approval times when implementing an intelligent approvals engine. And then finally, the last benefit we see is increasing in contract volume processing and the increase in the quote volume. And we're seeing those in the 30 to 40% range. So again, these are averages. I recommend that you sit down and look at your own scenario, what you have in place today, how can you make improvements, promise the smallest amount of improvement possible so that you overachieve. Try to promise like a 2-3% improvement. And again, these are just the averages, but you want to sit down and look at your own unique scenario. What do you have in place today? Do you have old technology, no technology? And then begin to put together the model of what you think you can do by focusing on some of these areas. And then this just shows you overall that the metrics that you're going to see typically are going to fall into 3 categories: the improvements in compliance, improvements in sales effectiveness, and then improvements in customer satisfaction. So basically we've just broken them down into those 3 categories, and again have given you some averages so you can begin to put together the ROI models and the metrics that you think you might be able to achieve from your Quote-to-Cash transformation. So that concludes part 1 of this module. The next module we're going to cover is going to be conducted by James, and he's going to talk to you about what some specific customers are experiencing and how quote-to-cash projects can really transform your career. And then we're going to end with some tips from some of the masters. So James is up next. Thanks, everyone.